Well,
All right.
we have a new person
We have a new
in the
person
show.
today. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
We are
hey.
back.
Hello?
So this is Why Christianity, the podcast.
Yes.
My name is Natalie. This is Charles. We filmed an episode. It was months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
We wanted to film these weekly, and it's actually my bad. I got married. So as you guys could probably guess, that was chaotic. The day was beautiful. That was amazing. But all the
Yes.
preparations and everything. So we had to put the podcast on pause for a little bit. But we are back. And we have a new member with us. I spoke to you about her in the last episode. Stephanie, my sister. So Steph, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. So, yeah, I'm Natalie's sister and basically have a bit of the same story as her. Grew up in a Christian home, got baptized in a Catholic church. And growing up, we went to Catholic Mass, but we also went to Orthodox Mass, but we didn't really practice any Catholicism and receive the sacraments or learned anything about what the Mass is, what happens in the church, or what they believed. And so 6 months, actually, since 6 months ago,
No, that's already 11 months ago, Steph.
It's already 11 months.
Time flies.
Time flies.
It's almost a year.
Almost a year. But yeah, that's when I decided to take my faith seriously. And, I started asking questions. Okay, why Catholicism? What's the difference between Protestants, Orthodox, and Catholicism? And the more I learned, the more I fell in love, honestly, with the Catholic Church, their teachings. I think for me, I found them to be the most coherent and convincing ones. And and obviously I'm still a baby Catholic. I'm a Catholic, but still a baby, and I'm still learning. And I think this podcast is perfect because it keeps me accountable to do more research and to share what we learn with all of you. So
Along the way.
yes,
Yes.
let's go.
So, we invited Steph because she was a little bit on the same journey as us. And I realized every time I had questions, I would always go to her and be like, hey, Steph, this doesn't make sense. Please explain. So she's here now. And we're just happy. So the goal of this podcast is as we're evolving in our faith, we really want to shed light on Christianity. Not in just just have faith, you'll be fine. Not in that way, but we want to ask real questions, the tough questions, find answers to them, learn more, and have a little more maybe academic approach or a little more scientific approach, if you want, to Christianity. So this is it. And this is what we want. If you guys have the same approach as well, where you're asking yourselves a lot of questions and you're not receiving maybe the answers that you want, this is what we're trying to do. So obviously we're not experts, all right? We just do the research. And even then, some people dedicate their lives to these. So obviously we want to have guests. We want to have people here who are real experts and talk about different topics.
100%.
So this is what our goal. This is what we want to do.
Yes.
And so for today's topic, you guys, we want to learn about the Bible. So understanding the Bible, how it came to life, and just a little description of it, learning about the context, a little bit of it, and talking a little bit about it. I think it's important to start with the Bible. Why should we? Let me ask you guys this. Why should we start by understanding the Bible?
Yeah. It's a great question. I think first we need to define what's the Bible, and there's many ways we can go with this definition, but I think the most important one that one should seek is really the way the Bible is written is anchored in real people, real real spaces, like places
Mm-hmm.
and events.
Yeah.
And so basically, the Bible is just like a newsletter
Mm-hmm.
of that time.
Yeah.
And some people even claim, like historian claim, that the way the Bible was written, it was out of its era.
Mm-hmm.
Like the concepts behind what's written is really wonderful, and this is how we should see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I do think it's also a fascinating piece of literature, I guess we could call it that. Especially when you see the mirroring between the New Testament and the Old Testament. So we'll definitely talk more about these in future
Yes.
episodes. But another reason I wanted to add why it's important for us to understand the Bible, why it's important for us to know these details, is because our faith is based on it, right? These are words, writings of people who were actually like partly come with Jesus as well. So if we talk about like apostles or disciples of the apostles, these are people who are directly in contact with Jesus. So it'll help us understand our faith more and our God more. And again, it's going to be the basis of most of the things that we say here.
Yes.
And most of the things that we know. So it's important for us to know where it all started or how it all was put together, basically. And we'll also have a separate episode, which I think will be next week, about its credibility. So why could we say that, yes, this is the truth? We'll have to dedicate a whole other episode to that, though.
Oh, right.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
good. I think it's questions that we've maybe all had to, like, okay, how do I believe this is the truth? The more you dig into it, I started a little bit, the more you realize, oh, yes, like we get closer to the truth as well.
Yes.
Steph, what about you? Do you have anything to say about that, about why it's important for us?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful because it's a story about God who just chases after his people. That's a small summary of the Bible, but its moral teachings are valuable. And I see that, the more I apply these moral teachings, the more I become like better, like spiritually, mentally, and it still carries like some truth, some weight until now. And I think that's something that's fascinating for like a piece that was written, so many years ago and along so many like centuries by so many different people. So
After so many controversies with the church,
yeah,
it's still alive, it's still standing.
yeah,
That alone says a lot, I think.
100%.
yeah, exactly.
And I think what I will add is really, I mean, not in a derogative way, but the Bible is such, especially the Old Testament, is like such a raw piece of, like, let's say, succession of books to read. Sometimes one can be repelled by and discussed by the human behavior, but it really englobes well how a human can behave,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
how God, through his love and mercy, forgive and adapt to us. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So let's dig into it. Let's start with like basics. All right. The composition of the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament.
Yes.
So let's start with that. So for the Old Testament, or let's start with the New. What should we start with? Let's start with the New.
It's easiest.
It's easier to start
It's
with the
easiest.
New. Because, so the New, all Catholic traditions, denominations, I guess, have the same number. So it's 27 books
Yes.
for Catholics, Protestants, and Orthodox. It's basically the story of when Jesus was born and then after. So Jesus' life, and then following after that, the apostles. Anything else to add? This is very general. So anything else
Yes.
to add about this?
Maybe just to describe properly the books. So there's the main four, the Gospels.
Yes. obviously.
by Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. And I believe this is the right order of them being written.
Of them being written.
Yeah, it's Mark, Matthew.
It's
Luke.
Matthew.
Matthew's
Matthew,
first. though.
Mark.
Matthew is first.
In the Bible, yeah, Matthew is first, but now, so that's what
Right.
people in the past taught, that Matthew wrote it first.
Okay.
But now it's more common belief that Mark is the one
Yes.
who wrote it first.
And the reason why actually I wanted to mention that is because some people say, well, why write the same story at different timeline, right? And we can see in the Gospels more detail added through the time. And the reason why I want to mention this is not like this has been corrupted or whatnot, but more that if you remember what I said, it's like more of the way we should read the Bible is more of a newsletter. And because those events were happening such and were written such on a like small timeline to protect the people initially, they weren't mentioned by name. But in the latest Gospels, for example, in John, you will exactly know who the people were because it was safer at that time to really mention them by name. Because, and this is really important for a later episode, to explain that in Jewish tradition, people really track the descendants, the family of the person.
Yeah.
So like if we write someone's name, they will exactly know their family, they will know who that person is. So this is the four Gospels. And then there's Paul that came into play.
And when you say, I just want to,
Yes,
sorry to interrupt.
go for it.
But you said there were additions made. Can you clarify? Because when you said additions, I was like, what do you mean?
Yes,
Because I was like, oh, like if I was there at the time, me, Natalie, oh, I heard this about Jesus. Can I just add it? Like you can't just
no, of course
do
not.
that.
Like
So it was an actual apostle who made the addition of that specific detail.
yes.
Who, at that time.
I think there's unique details in like all Gospels.
Yes.
So like in Matthew, he calls Joseph a rich man, and the tomb is described as his own tomb.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Mark, he says that Joseph buys a linen shroud.
So is that like every writer
Has a different
has a
detail.
different detail about the same man?
Yes.
So when earlier you mentioned additions, means additions of details, let's say that one person didn't focus on that the other person focuses on, for example.
100%.
So if we take the example of Joseph of Arimathea,
Yes.
is that it? Like they all mention him by name, but they all mention a different detail about him. One of them says he's a rich man. The other one said it was his own, like his tomb.
Yes.
So that's the thing. Like when the Gospels, yes, there are slight differences, but it doesn't mean that one disproves the other. It's just if you look at it, if you combine all four, you see all kind of a bigger picture, of more full and complete picture of it, which is pretty interesting.
Yes.
The fact to have four authors.
And this also shows, I think, the beauty of God on spreading his news through the imperfection of our imperfection, because each person will express themselves differently.
Yeah.
Might not express them like in the correct wording or words, but this is what's like beautiful about the Bible. Is like such a as we said, uniquely written piece that is cohesive, and that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
We can complete the 27 books. So there's the Acts of Paul, the letters from Romans to Jude. So this is 20 books.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Revelation.
Yeah.
Written by John.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Revelation was at some point, I think, a bit controversial.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of, okay, maybe the word is like non-worldly things that could be
Yes.
perceived as like magical, extra.
It's a
I don't
lot
know.
of symbolisms.
Yeah, a lot of maybe symbolism. So that's why
Yeah.
it was a bit controversial. But it was like added in the end in the books in the New Testament.
Exactly. And I mean, Revelation is not really meant for everybody because you need a solid knowledge of the Gospels and the Old Testament
Yeah.
to really put in perspective what's written in Revelation.
I always find it fascinating. I think that's the first like full book that I read completely.
Interesting.
Like even before, like I had read the Gospels a little bit here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but fully Revelation, I think, is the first book that I read from the Bible, like fully. I don't know. I just found it fascinating for some
Yes.
reason. So if we go back to the books,
Yes.
so we did the New Testament, Old Testament.
Yes. Because, I mean, that's one argument I would say is really the strengths of Christianity is that you cannot just like rely on the Gospels. You need also the Old Testament.
Exactly. Because like I said earlier, the old and the new, you'll find a lot of mirrors. You'll find how like people actually predicted the
Yes.
coming of Jesus. And again, that's what makes it stronger, I believe, as a book.
100%.
So yeah, for the Old Testament, this is where it varies according to tradition. So Protestants and the Jews have the same, right?
Exactly.
Not the Torah, but the Tanakh, right? So all the books, they have 39.
It's called
Yeah.
the Jewish canon. Basically, it's
The
like
Jewish canon.
the official or the most common Jewish book used.
Yes.
And they're composed of 39 books that are the laws. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And then history, Joshua, Judge, Ruth, 1 and 2 Samuel, 1 and 2 Kings, 1 and 2 Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. And there's the poetry, wisdom, Job, the Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. And the prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentation, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zachariah, and Malachi.
Yes. So the Jewish canon and the Protestants have the same number
Yes, 39.
of books, but the Catholics and Orthodox, it differs
Yes.
because there was the translation, right, called the Septuagint.
Yes.
And so this also includes the period of, let's say, 300 to 400 years between Malachi and Jesus.
Yes.
And it was the Greek translation. So why did the Catholics or Orthodox decide to include these? And they're called the Deuterocanonical books.
Yes.
So there are 7 books in total. So Catholics in total have 73 books in the Bible.
Yes.
Yeah, including these 7.
That's a good question. And I think the really like probably Steph can add on it is the way those books were written there's like a lot of them that prophesize Christ. The way I mean the way that God revealed stuff in it is cohesive with the canon books. So this is why they were included. And I also have an argument for it, which is like quite a nice way to show how gods work, because eventually Greek and Latin become the worldwide language
Yeah.
that was spread.
Yes.
So in a way, God used what will become the common language to spread His word.
Spread his word.
Why would He like use a random language to say, okay, this is God's word, but only a little amount of people will know and
Ever.
understand that language, right?
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Steph?
Yeah. Can I actually talk about like the backstory? Like why was there like the Pharisee tradition
Yeah,
and
go
the
for it.
Go
Septuagint?
for it.
So like, okay. Okay. So during the time of Jesus, there was actually multiple Jewish traditions. And in the Bible, we see them like being mentioned. So like Samaritans, Sadducees, Pharisees. There's even Zealots. This is a more like political party, political group who wanted to overthrow the Roman leaders. And then there's also one more tradition, which is the Qumran and the Septuagint. Forgot about that one.
Yeah.
So what happened is after Jesus died, resurrected, in the year 70, there was a Jewish revolt, and there was basically a war between the Romans and the Jews, and it was a full-scale war, and basically the temple, the Jew temple was completely destroyed. Many people didn't survive, and that exterminated most of the Jewish traditions. And it only left us with basically the Pharisee tradition and the Septuagint tradition. And so what we see in history is that Septuagint tradition was carried on by early Christians, the newly converted Christians, the one that spoke Greek. And the Pharisee tradition, they actually, because of like the destruction of the temple, they had to reorganize themselves and actually like define, okay, the final canon of their Old Testament. And so after that, they formed like a discussion, and they settled the issue, which is why they have like now the Hebrew Bible. But the Septuagint was used by so many early Christians, and this one was used also. It was very popular also.
Which brings the question, like, how does a text become official? Right? It's because also at the time, you know, the story of Jesus became so popular. So there were, yes, the official texts, but there was also a lot of wrong texts that were circulating amongst people, things that weren't necessarily true. So how does a book become an official part of the Bible? Is there a process to that?
I mean, it's a good question. I think the book itself should also give you hints on where to look at, right? So in the Bible, it's clear that the body of Christ is the church, and that Christ gave that and delegated that to the church. So every teaching and learning about Christ should remain in that church.
But even before, like, we
Yes.
get to that, right? There's all these texts circulating. How do you
Yeah.
officially say, okay, no, this is the official text?
Mm-hmm.
So there were criteria that they used to kind of assess which of these were right or correct. One of them was that they had apostolic authority or
Yes.
origin.
Mm.
Steph, do you want to
So,
tell
yeah.
us a little bit about that?
So basically, they wanted to see if the apostles were actually using these scriptures, and if it was passed down to their own disciples. And then there was also, in the case of the Old Testament, if you know, Jesus, the Jews would actually use the scriptures, and the apostles themselves. And we can actually see in the New Testament that the apostles were quoting very much from the Septuagint, Greek translation of the Old Testament.
So the
So
parts.
they were using, yeah.
So
they,
the books that were not officially included in the Protestant
they were.
Bible.
I don't know if they were quoting directly from those books. I don't think so, but they were using that Greek translation. For
Okay.
example, I can give you one sec.
Okay, so they were using like the Septuagint specifically
exactly.
to quote. Okay.
Yes, and actually, this reminds me even before the let's say the Gospels were combined, and then let's say we have everything that we know of the Bible. There's this hypothesis that is called the Q source, or the Quelli, for Q for Quelli, or the Q Gospel. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
So it's usually an argument that people use against the Bible, but in a way it turns in our favor, because for now this source is hypothetical, but basically it's like a combination of teaching and already written stories that were compiled, and that, let's say, the early gospel writers like Matthew, Luke used to use. For example, we spoke about Joseph of Arimathea. So how one will know? Okay, he owns the tomb. He owned the linen cloth that englobed the body of Christ. So in a way, there's also like all this tradition behind also that was conserved before the official writing of the Gospels.
Yeah.
And even for the Jewish, it was the same. The Old Testament relies a lot on traditions, and people will attack sometimes some of those chapters or book because, for example, we know Moses might have not written everything because some part of it was written after he died, right?
Yeah.
But who said that God doesn't work through another person to finish that story? Right?
I think even now, like the more common theory is that there were many writers for the Old Testament.
Yep.
Yeah, and one of the things is they compared like the style of writing as well. I think they identified 4 different
Yes.
writers for the Old Testament. Not just the Old Testament, but I mean the first 5. So the
The law
Torah
books.
or law books.
Yes, exactly.
So if we go back now to the criteria, let's say, that make a Bible book official or considered official. Steph, you mentioned the apostolic origin. So the fact that it comes directly from an apostle or from a disciple of an apostle or a lineage, let's say, of an apostle.
Yes.
Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, and there was also like the writings actually had to agree with what the apostles were teaching. So, for example, they discovered like Gnostic writings, and the reason why they didn't include it in the Bible is because what the Gnostics believed about like the body is not good. It's only like they would put more emphasis on the spirit and disregard the body. But they saw that that's not aligned like with, you know, what the apostles were teaching and what Jesus spoke, you know, about creation of the world, the nature, and
Mm.
you know, the good of the body. Emphasis on the good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
no, that's it's a good way because, like, let's say, I don't know, you see a manuscript, a paper that just mentioned something that went against the teachings of the apostles, then you're like, okay, this is not consistent. I can debunk that. So
Yes.
it's not just like people came together and were like, okay, no, I want to add this. No, there's actual work that was done um, from people back then. So they made sure that everything was consistent with the teachings of the apostles.
Yeah. And I'll add also, like, they also wanted to see if those same scriptures were being read in like the majority of the churches, not just like by one local church, but if it was being used and they were teaching with those
Mm.
scriptures.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's another criteria.
Yeah. So I think those were
100%.
like the main three that people used or based on to not even choose, but to decide if like not even decide. I don't want to say that. It's just to include or not
Yes.
in the official Bible.
Yeah. And probably I think would be cool to have an episode on the Gnostic writings and Gospels. But again, like just to pile up on what we said, is really the Gnostic, basically, for those who don't know, is like a secret revelation that was made to a specific person.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we know that God doesn't want that, right? He
Mm-hmm.
wants to spread his knowledge worldwide to everyone.
Yeah.
So this is why the Gnostic writings were not included.
Yeah. It's because it was maybe beneficial to that one person or revealed to that one person
Yes,
instead of it having a more widespread
100%.
effect or
Mm.
yeah.
So
use.
to summarize, so far we have the apostolic succession
Yeah.
and authority
Yeah.
of the churches,
Yes.
and I I think the tradition also that follow it, right?
Mhm.
So we have to remember that before even thinking of writing it, from the Old Testament to the Gospel, everything was like, in a sense, a tradition, and it was orally transmitted,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
which is like,
yes, definitely. It was very common back then
yeah,
for things to be just transmitted orally by speaking to each other.
mm,
Fun fact, I learned this recently, but not everybody back then used to write.
yeah,
Right? People
mm,
used to read, yes, but writing was considered as this highly technical skill, and
yes,
it's only like scribes, for example, that were trained for that. So that's why when you want to write something like a gospel or a letter, or there's a lot of people involved. It's not just this one person. And it's validated, and some of them even like communicated with people what they wrote. So it's a long process. It's a
exactly,
long process.
exactly.
Yeah. Voilà. So I think we mentioned pretty much everything that has to do with, well, in general, guys. All right. We, of course, everything is a little bit surface because we wanted to talk, of course, in more general terms. But remember, people like literally make careers out of this, out of like one of these specific topics you can make a career out of. But we just wanted to do a little overview of just the Bible, the books, the differences between the different Christian denominations. And then next week, we're going to be talking more about, let's say, controversies or arguments against the Bible, and see, how we can, face these arguments. Or even as Christians, like, it's important for us to be able to know these details so that we could defend our Bible and our faith. So we're going to talk about that next week. So yeah, bring up common arguments against the Bible and see how to approach it, or like what the truth behind it really is. Do you guys want to add anything?
Yes, I think before we conclude, I think it's important to also mention the councils
Yes.
and why
We
they're
didn't talk about the councils.
they were important. So who wants to lead?
Okay,
Steph.
I'll go.
Go, Steph.
With a big smile.
Okay. Well, there were many, but I would say like for the canon of the Bible, so determining which books to include in the Bible, for the Catholic side, there was here. Let me check. So there were many councils that approved the Old Testament canon, which has those 7 books that the Protestant Bible doesn't have. So, for example, there's the Council of Rome in the year 382. There's Synod of Hippo in 393, Councils of Carthage 397 and 419. These all affirmed those books. The church didn't declare it officially, but they were using it, like even the early Christians were using it, and they affirmed it also. And then you have the Ecumenical Council, the council in Florence in the year 1442. And here it was formally defined as the complete list of books of the Bible. And then after, we have the Reformation in 1517, where Luther was challenging the church on these 7 books. And he claimed that it wasn't divinely inspired and not at the same equal level as the other, scriptures. And so basically that's it. And in response to that, in the Council of Trent in the year 1546, 46, the Catholic Church wanted to clarify its position, and they dogmatically declared their canon of the Bible. So,
Great.
Thank you for reminding me, Charles. I completely forgot.
Yes, of course. No, it's important to mention because, again, we might approach it next episode, but a lot of the argument comes or counter arguments comes. It's like, okay, why do you need so many of those councils? And it's important to point out that, I mean, and this is also why the Bible is so beautiful, is society evolve, that our norms evolve, but we see that this teaching is still universal.
Yep.
That's something not found in any other
That's impressive.
branch of religion.
Yeah. That's something super, super impressive, that even these concepts, these things, you can apply them today.
Yeah.
And we can still understand it today, right? Because language also evolves over time. So
100%.
I think it's very, very impressive to have a work like this. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Steph.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We hope that you learned 1 or 2 things today, hopefully more. So we'll be back next week talking a little bit more about the arguments against the Bible, how to tackle them as Christians. All we want here is just to get to the truth, get to the bottom of things, and really uncover the truth. So we hope that you'll stick with us on this journey. Again, thank you so much for listening to us, and we hope to see you next week.
Yes, see you guys next week. And again, it's a very surface, let's say, approach to why do we need to understand the Bible? What's the Bible? If there's some elements we missed, if we need to be corrected, we're free to listen to your comments and reply to them into the next episode.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Thank you.